Welcome back, everyone. Here we are with game number 2 of this best of 3 between TNC and Rave in the Corsair Gaming Arena. I am Durka here in the JD Studios. We'll get ourselves straight into the draft. No short breaks, nothing like that. We're going to get straight into Dota 2. Joining me, Scant. Game number 1. What did you think of TNC and what did you think of Rave?
I was very impressed by TNC. I was, I guess, a bit less impressed by Rave. I mean, Rave still impressed me in certain ways. They seem to understand. I mean, they reinforced my perception that they're a strong team and they have a strong team sense about them. But I worry for Rave. As you said at the end of last game, they banned out the Drow and the Queen of Pain, TNC's heroes, and TNC beat them anyway, pretty convincingly. This time they banned out the Queen of Pain and the Leshrac.
So do you think they want to deal with Drow Ranger now? Let TNC have it and just actually play against it?
Yeah, well Team Malaysia's plan, I think, was initially in Game 1 against TNC. They banned out the Queen of Pain and not the Drow. And I think a few teams we saw actually play against TNC seem to think if the Queen of Pain's gone, the Drow's not as strong.
Team pick.
So maybe it's fine to let it through. And here TNC start with the Gyro, which by no means, I think, means that they won't go for the Drow next. I think it's definitely a possibility. They went for the Drow second in the earlier series that we cast. So you've got a decision now if you're Rave. Do you like Drow strategies yourself? Are you prepared for them to run the Drow plus Gyro strategy, which seems pretty terrifying if you think about it, actually. Black Cannon with the extra Drow damage.
Sounds disgusting.
5 seconds remaining.
Rave are thinking pretty long and hard about this. You've also got to factor in Visage and Drow both there, right? So even though Visage has received a few little nerfs here and there, there's still that option. Rave, this is by no means an easy situation for them to be in. They have to think long and hard about this, decide, because this basically is the be-all and end-all right now. This is game number 2. They're one game behind. Their draft has to be immaculate, has to be spot on. TNC have shown that even though they do have weaknesses, they also have a lot of strengths. How can you play against these strengths where they're drawing you across the map, where they're forcing you to take engagements which maybe you don't have the advantageous position in, and they do go for the Drow? Is it the Visage to follow, though?
Dire team pick.
Yep, it is.
Yeah,
and that's
boy.
I still feel like
pick.
TNC are leading right now because it's such a psychological victory that
We're
Rave
forced
do
you to
run
pick
this.
Drow Visage, right?
Exactly, yeah. I mean, like, it's a strategy Rave run, but there's no way that we can't see this as partially a block pick. It's just like, it's very clearly that, there could be a number of things they were hoping to do today in Dota matches, and this is one of them maybe, but the reason they
10
choose this one
seconds
is because of who
remaining.
they're playing against. And TNC, teams that are experts in Drow,
5 seconds remaining.
less so Visage, although I think we saw them around once with the Drow. I think TNC will have a
Reserve
better
time.
idea than most teams on how to actually play against the Drow.
Oh, there's an
Radiant
Undying for them.
team banned.
So even against this physical right-click damage attack from Rave, familiars,
team
the
banned.
long range from Drow Ranger, they still go with the Undying. So it looks like they want to bolster their lanes as much as they can. Taking out the
Radiant
Zeus,
team
Rave
banned.
are okay. Rave banning out the Nature's Prophet, decent hero up against the Drow Visage in the mid game. He tries to counteract the push from the familiars. He's good in team fights with a Sprout onto Drow, keeping her locked into place. But I don't know how I feel about that hero in
Dire
general, because he
team
gets
banned.
nuked so heavily in the early game.
Yeah, it's just telling that so many teams we cast against TNC are banning heroes that TNC used in the previous game. There's the Nature's Prophet and the Leshrac
10
now.
seconds remaining.
Previously we saw the Queen and Pain and the Drow, and the Drow is the block
5
pick. And
seconds
again, I
remaining.
think psychologically you set yourself up in a position where TNC can feel really confident. They know they've got you on the
Reserve
ropes. They
time.
know that you're reacting to them. And I'm interested to see if TNC pick a gap closer, because it's been my conviction that that's the better way to deal with Drow. When we were discussing earlier Rave vs 5-Ever, even though Rave won that game against 5-Ever's Drow, I felt like, to just tank up against Drow wasn't the appropriate strategy. I thought it would be better to have a gap closer. There's a Klinks ban from
Dire
Rave as well.
team
Jeez.
So I'm just curious to see TNC as Drow specialists themselves. Do they pick a gap closer? Is that the way they deal with the Drow, or am I just wrong and all the pro teams don't think it's necessary?
See, we saw in the last Corsair Gaming Arena against TNC Drow Ranger, we saw MVP Phoenix go for, PA, we saw Ember Spirit, we saw all of these heroes. I think it's a little bit sort of a little bit lopsided to
10
pick one of your main
seconds
farming
remaining.
cores as the gap closer, because that puts them under so much pressure saying, you cannot
5
farm at this
seconds
moment in time,
remaining.
you have to be getting up onto that Drow Ranger and forcing these fights. If, though, you go for a hero like a Clockwork, Spearbreaker here is banned out, okay, but, you know, natural Blink Dagger carriers, maybe even a Centaur just for the Stampede. The Undying does make these things a little bit messy, though. The fact that he is the strength, most likely support hero that can get in the way of things. His zombies make it, pretty damn difficult for Clockwork to land a hookshot. But
Well,
if you're
you know,
using
I
these
wanna
heroes as their primary initiation to get in there and then Undying follows, that can work out.
I want to say Centaur suits TNC because it has a global ability.
Yeah.
So I could totally see them picking it. But yeah, the game that Malaysia beats TNC, even though there wasn't a drought, was a sniper, and they did it with gap closers. They had a Clockwork and a Batrider.
Radiant
So-
team pick.
To me, it's a crucial element to have at least one gap closer. Maybe a Storm Spirit. We did see TNC run Storm Spirit once with their Drow strategy. I mean, it's not like Storm is a hero that needs Drow to function, and I think Storm's pretty good against Rave's heroes so far. So that's definitely a possibility in my mind.
Well, third pick here from TNC. Lion is to go for Rave. It's a
10
good
seconds
aggressive support,
remaining.
but when you've got a Visage on your team, I guess you need some kind of lockdown
5
disable, and that's what
seconds
Rave are looking at
remaining.
here. They need a Hex, they need a stun, they need something to give them that, early game laning power, just to
Reserve
lock
time.
someone down and kill them off. But he doesn't fare well against dual lanes. You can see if TNC go Undying plus Phoenix here, as a dual off lane,
Dire team
Rave are
pick.
going to suffer massively. They're going to get
Yes,
dived on, burnt, decayed, tombstoned, and what does Visage Lion do very early on against Undying? They just
Yep.
die, right?
And it could even be aggressive tri lane with the Crystal Maiden, or alternatively the Crystal Maiden can be safe support and jungling because you have such a strong hero like Gyrocopter, for example, in your safe lane. So TNC's lane stage feels a lot better to me so far.
Well, that's a good hero
Radiant
there. They're
team
going for
pick.
another ranged hero. Could be heading towards the middle lane, also could be off lane. You're not quite sure. I feel that Rio, he does perform incredibly well on these tanky brawling initiators, so give him something like a Tidehunter down on bot as an off lane, and then Windranger goes towards the mid. That's how I'm feeling here. But TNC with their fourth pick, what are we going to do?
I'm now coming back to considering Meepo. I mean, we know they have a Meepo player is really good. They like to run it, and
10 seconds
I don't really think
remaining.
Rave's got anything that's very scary against Meepo. In fact, I think Meepo is quite scary
5
against all of
seconds
those heroes,
remaining.
and also definitely a gap closer, right?
Yeah,
If
very
the
true.
game goes the way it wants.
Reserve
Very
time.
true. And against Lion and Visage, something that I like mentioning about sort of these supports in particular, in the laning phase, maybe they are Lion is a lot more dynamic. He can smoke up and move and make roaming ganks and things like that. In a team fight, he's relatively static. He isn't a support hero that's constantly, repositioning and adjusting his sort of line of sight or his trajectory to get in there and stun and hex like maybe an Earthshaker does. He's always in one spot ready, whether he has blink or not, just to react. He has to be in a certain position. Meepo is so great at splitting up fights and forcing these positions to actually become disadvantages rather than advantages for your team. Same thing
Yeah.
can be said of Undying and Gyrocopter. They can all split up fights, but Rave do have that one big deal about their draft so far. Raw physical hitting power. Windranger with Focus Fire and the Precision Aura, ridiculous. Visage with Soul Assumption, couple it up with Finger of Death and the stuns and nukes. They can take one hero out of the fight instantly, pretty much, if they do focus them. So that's one thing
Yeah.
TNC have to be very wary of, is positioning themselves.
But surely
10
there will be, right?
seconds
Because
remaining.
TNC know Drow Ranger better than anyone, and I think they
Dire
understand. I
team
mean,
ban.
there we go. Phantom Lancer, probably even better than Meepo in the exact same ways we were describing what Meepo could do against these kinds of heroes. I don't know if you remember, TNC, I think in that first series against G-God actually banned, or was it last game against?
No, I think,
I'm pretty sure we
10
saw them
seconds
banning
remaining.
Phantom Lancer.
yeah, the G-God
um,
game, I think they banned Wyvern, PL,
5
and a
seconds
couple of other
remaining.
heroes.
Yeah,
Tinker,
so
Tinker.
they like covering their draw strategy because these like ranged
Reserve
squishy
time.
heroes don't match up against a farm Phantom Lancer well at all. They want to be able
10
to
seconds
hit a
remaining.
target really hard when there's a bunch of illusions. I just don't know.
5
I mean,
seconds remaining.
I wouldn't be surprised if Rave's last pick is a hero that's got some ability to clear illusions, because
Radiant team
now that they're
ban.
staring down that Phantom Lancer, a farmed Phantom Lancer, so far those 4 heroes can't clear illusions, and they
Dire team
don't win a
pick.
fight if
Yeah.
that happens.
Clear illusions or focus the real one. This has been sort of the big point of contention about Phantom Lancer is what is the right way, or what is the more efficient way of going about it. Obviously, if you can target or make sure you know which PL is real, I feel like that's the more effective. Oh man, I didn't get to the end of my point. I was going to say pick up a puck for that Dream Call. You can sort of dodge through with Doppelganger and things like that, but with an off-lane puck, or maybe a safe lane puck here if you want to go aggro try, you can do that. You can silence the PL, incredibly great with the blink initiation to silence, to stop the PL doppelganging away to try and escape, and then also great against Crystal Maiden and Undying. Before they can get stacks up of decay on Undying, before Crystal Maiden can actually use her array of spells, you have initiated and you've done a ton of damage locking them in place in an area where Drow Ranger can reposition. Lion can get in there with a couple man stun.
Yeah, I agree. I think Puck's a really good pick here, and I think Nyx is an even better one against the Puck and other heroes. And at the end of this draft, Puck was a really good 5th pick, but I still put TNC a bit ahead. I think that Rave really needs to do the Drow Ranger thing and snowball this game to win it. I think if the game's kind of even and goes pretty long, it's difficult for me to see Rave winning at that stage. Nyx Assassin's going to do a lot of work against especially the intelligence heroes. It's going to do a lot of control in the fights, along with the Undying's Tombstone, the Gyrocopter. And Peel, if he gets big enough, he's just going to be simply too big, I think, for anyone to handle. But yeah, Wind Ranger, Puck, Visage Lion, that's 4 intelligence heroes against the Nyx Assassin. And Drow Ranger's not exactly good against Nyx Assassin either, despite being an agility hero.
Yeah, he can be that gap closer, and it's not really closing the gap, it's sitting there waiting for the gap to appear, and then all of a sudden he's on you before you've actually started fighting. So we'll see how well this Nyx does actually fare. Rio on the offlane Puck. Jo going to be playing the top lane Drow Ranger. Chrissy mid Wind Ranger. I'm just sort of guessing the laning setup here. Rave, do you go level 1 into the enemy jungle in this situation? You've got a lot of damage. You've got not too much lockdown though. And up against the Radiant side, they've got completely the opposite. They've got a lot of lockdown and not too much physical range damage. Rocket Barrage kind of counts. Who comes out in a level 1 5v5, do you reckon?
TNC. I honestly, I think I'll eat my shoe or whatever if TNC loses a pre-creep spawn fight.
So Decay, Impale, Frostbite, or Crystal Nova, yeah, they've got lots of AoE. I guess,
I sort of think, as a rule, if a team is Gyro and Undying, there's you're not winning that early fight, and it's teams with Gyro and Undying that more often than not actually get both bounty runes, which is something you don't see that often. But if a team's going to get both bounty runes, it's when they have such a scary lineup that you can't see where they are and you're too afraid to commit to either of them.
TNC want to force this though, smoking up in their fountain. Very early smoke indeed, as the Crystal Maiden's running back and forth and wants the observers and sentries from 7.
Crystal Maiden has boots first, and we saw this. TNC were doing this almost every game in the last Corsair arena. The smoke from fountain really early, go for a fight, and I think the sign that in this game they really do feel that they just have every advantage if a fight breaks out.
Who can they catch though? What is this Dire Vision like? I just want to keep an eye on this. Dire Vision does not see them coming in. They will see the Crystal Maiden now. They're going to have to try and retreat. Lion, she does have boots, but can she catch? Ninja Boogie and Chrissy, they're already in the trees. It looks like they're fine for now. So good positioning there from Rave. They knew that with the Observer Ward, they've got this area all scattered out. Someone up on the high ground here, so the smoke would pop. Crystal Maiden's now the one being caught. Needs to run away with those little booties of her own. But they also had this avenue of vision here. So they knew that no matter which direction TNC were coming from, they had them all covered.
But is this okay, I guess Nyx and Puck fights over bot and Puck probably gets it, so it will be 1 each. I think it's very clever of Rave to not want to take that early fight, also to recognize that TNC will try force it.
Mana burn level 1. So now the Nyx does not have a stun. And up against Rio and Chrissy, they're looking for the orb across. He's got no Carapace, he's got no Impale. Chrissy is coming down to this bot lane. Is this where they want the 1v1? Is Puck hitting mid?
Yeah, it looks like it. And this is going to be a really terrifying aggressive trial lane for TNC. And a terrifying one for Rave to face up against. Because they have the Visage, there's always that tiny chance with his nuke that if a fight breaks out, somehow the Visage's team wins it. But on on average, I just think TNC's trial lane is much stronger.
So, these lanes so far, Noji on the Gyrocopter up at top, AU, Crystal Maiden, 7 Undying, going up against the safe lane tri-lane of JO's Drow, Cast, Visage, and Ninja Boogie on the line. Mid is the Puck against Phantom Lancer. Now, PL with a poor man's shield up against Puck, who lost a lot of HP very early on. This should favour the PL for now, especially with his his melee attack, the fact he can chase the Puck down like that. But bot lane, what have we actually got? Sam pulls through alone. Well, he pulls into this camp alone while he's up against Windranger played by Chrissy. Interesting.
Yeah, it's an interesting move. You don't see it very often in a 1v1 lane that one of the heroes actually goes and pulls this early. But I think it's correct, especially because he's level mana burn level 1, Sam. Just draw out the lane in this way that he can have kind of even farm. If he's just standing in lane trying to last it against the Windranger, he's going to be losing the Ras battle and the lasted battle early on. Once he gets a few levels, I think he can control the Windranger actually and possibly even threaten to kill her.
Okay. Well, top lane, we're not seeing too much aggression just yet. AU on the Crystal Maiden has not made use of her boots. 7 on the Undying. He bought every single support item, right? Courier, wards, sentries, everything.
Yeah.
So he's pretty poor right now. Oh man, they pull through, but against the Gyrocopter, Crystal Maiden, they're just going to spam this down. They've got Rocket Barrage, they've got plenty of AoE magical nuke damage. They're going to get a decent amount of golden experience from this. The little Centaur dies, the Creep Wave dies, everything is dying. Middle lane is the one that I keep wanting to come back to though, because the fact that Teehee can, Phantom Rush towards the Puck, force the phase shift and force Orb aggressively, then he can use the Lance to actually bring the Puck down to low HP. So there's always this threat that PL, once he is level 4 now with 1 level in Doppelganger, he's going to be diving towers.
Yeah, I think that it's a weird thing to say, but there's certain ways in which the PL's favored in this lane. Part of it is just the poor man's shield, part of it is the CM aura, but it's also just, as you said, the skill set is really good in this lane. He's able to get Puck to phase shift before he uses Lance,
And
or
then
to
the fact
force Puck to just get back.
Yeah, and then the fact that Rio was half HP before he joined the lane. I think that's been the defining factor of this lane. PL had, maybe an advantageous matchup here, but also the fact that Puck started off pretty badly. Ninja Boogie, scouted out by the Nova from Crystal Maiden, a homing missile to fly as well down onto this lion, but there's no follow through. They're just harassing, plinking away, slowly but surely chipping away. Ninja Boogie has no regen remaining. 3 tangos on the Visage, 3 tangos over on this Drow Ranger. Looks like they're just going to keep on going.
I think while there's no deaths in this lane, it's definitely favoring Rave. TNC, I think, feel like they should be making kills here. And it's probably a matter of time till we see a tower dive. Maybe at level 3, when Undying's level 3, that'll be the time.
The tower dive almost happened at mid. Rio drops to about 150 HP. The PL has 1 bottle charge remaining, could throw lances, could run towards the Puck. Things are getting a little bit dangerous there. Salves himself up actually. He's level 5, so he's got the 1 in Doppelganger, level 3 in Lance. And Rio with 430 HP. 1 Lance and a couple of hits, and he just drops. Oh, he fakes out the phase shift. Phantom Lance now flies across, and that's something you cannot do as a Puck. You have to wait for the projectile to be mid-air.
There's action in all the lanes at the moment. I'm like scrolling between them. There was an attempt to kill top again. Rave pulled back again. Bot lane, we saw an exchange of both heroes spamming each other. They've both got bottles. It's... First blood could just come up anyway at this point, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Nyx, he's lagging behind a little bit in terms of last hits against the Windranger, but you said there's the level factor that he's got to catch up. He's got to get a few more points up in Pale and Carapace to really match up against this Windranger and then force her out of lane, or maybe force her to think that he can get a kill.
When he's level 6, he definitely can kill.
Yes. He's a little away from that as Chrissy's putting a little bit of damage down onto that tower. Rio face shifting as often as he can, getting out of Phantom Lances, and there's a haste rune over on that PL. So you have to be ever aware of the diving power from that little old cat man.
Okay, 7's got level 2 Tombstone. This has got to be the dive. I think the attempt is going to come soon. I don't think they'll be happy without making kills in this lane, and sure they're getting more farm, but it's not even that much more farm. TNC want to make kills here. They don't want to ruin the aggressive tri lane by diving and dying. But they're looking for that opening. Very definitely. Is the Tombstone going to go across the trees here? Or
Looks
just
like it
straight around behind?
They're looking for it. There we go. 7 stars things off with the Tombstone. Rave could look to focus this down. They're backing themselves up, and that's a good Earth Spike down with the Crystal Maiden. Gust as well, but Ninja Boogie, he's already dead under the Rocket Barrage. Noji finds that kill. The Visage throws out the Soul Assumption. Doesn't quite kill off the Crystal Maiden. And now the chase continues as Noji has another barrage. Level 2. TE joins the fight. And that's going to be 2 for 0. Drow Ranger, where is your escape route? Because you're getting taken down. Triple kill for the Gyrocopter all of a sudden. Dreamcore's good on 2. But what does Rio do here? Seriously now. He gets taken down to 15 HP. Doppelganger forward and TNC come out with 4 kills. Ninja Boogie behind his own tier 2 is like, well, buddy, 7. You're trapped between trees and creeps. I'll look to stun or hex you, but 1 kill for trading off 4 is just not worth at this point. And Ninja Boogie's not even going to get it. Well. Ninja Boogie's dead. Another decay of Soul Rip. 7 finds 5. 1 dive gives 5. Now they don't even have a bounty hunter on their team.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Nice little deny to the neutrals. They bided their time, but yeah, they waited for the right opportunity, went in, got all the kills, and here's that early domination from TNC. I'm interested to know, I don't know if you saw, at what stage did PL leave mid and start running up to that fight? Because he was there long before the pack.
I didn't see. I don't know, did he use the haste as well? Because he had a haste bottled a while back.
Yeah, I'm not too sure, because that's... if he left before the initiation started, I doubt that happened, because then they would have definitely gotten further back. So he must have, as the chase started around there, just like started heading towards the top lane to cut off. And the fact that he got there earlier than the pack, I think, is very, very significant.
Well, bot lane, Chrissy finds the shackle. Now focus fire onto the Crystal Maiden. This would be a great kill. Power shot does seal it. Sam maybe could have gone for the Carapace play there, but there's no real way he's going to take down that Wind Ranger. He's got pretty much full mana. Maybe Vendetta in and look for that, but... Last hit-wise, Wind Ranger's leading the board. There are 3 heroes from the Radiant up there as well. Net worth is what I kind of want to look at, though. The PL is 300 behind the Wind Ranger, but it's kind of expected. The Wind Ranger is doing well at bot. Yeah, Chrissy, yeah, I'm watching. He's got no mana for Wind Run. He does now, and he's going to dodge out the Earth Spike. Impale, even. So they're not going to find that kill. But then you look at Gyro and Nyx, and they're doing reasonably well. I think the puck is the main disadvantage here for Rave up against his PL. He is missing out on a lot.
Yeah, look, the game started well for TNC, and for me that's very worrying for Rave. I said during the draft, I just think that Rave need to snowball this game to win it. They need to have that crazy draw damage and just abuse, and then the game ends. If PL's doing well, if PL sort of starts scaling, for me that's almost enough. I think the Gyrocopter is like secondary. Undying and Nyx and Crystal Maiden can control, Gyrocopter can cast some spells. Yeah. If PL gets farmed, it's just difficult to see the way they manage it.
Yeah, and this aggressive tri lane for the first, 5-6 minutes, it did very little. It was just slowly and surely burning away at the regen of Rave, which, is their primary goal, but they would like some kills there. With the 5 kills that they got underneath the tower, they've really boosted their chances, and now they don't have to run an aggro tri lane. Well, they can have a couple of heroes, but yeah, Rave are coming in, they're swarming. Action in numbers as they do get scattered out. 7 is the guy that's going to take the brunt of the action. If he can drop Tombstone, if he can do anything, it's going to be great. The cooldown is there, though, as Ninja Boogie gets taken down. Puck, where the hell did Puck go? He's escaped. Jo not going to have that luxury, though, as Rocket Barrage more than enough damage. Where did Puck just, orbed and TP'd out?
Yeah.
I'm getting the hell out of here, guys. I don't want to deal with this.
Let's just think about what just happened. Undying died without casting Tombstone, and his team won the fight. They got 2 kills, 2 important kills for just the Undying's death. If he had cast the Tombstone, that's like everyone dies. Maybe the guy TP'd out lives. And this is a game where I think Rave, in order to win, needs a snowball, and the exact opposite's happening. To my mind, TNC is starting to snowball, and it's very, very worrying for Rave.
That was a 3-man smoke into losing 2 heroes for 1 in exchange, and the one you get is an Undying, who's now using Tombstone to farm middle lane. Why the hell not? He's got a Mango, he'd love to have Arcane Boots or an Urn. I think Urn, seeing as he's got that Sage's Mask, wouldn't be too far out. Noji on this Gyrocopter. Now, 3.8k. The fact that they're getting these fights, they've just got a tier 1, so that does boost up their gold quite a fair amount. So Chrissy, who was leader of the net worth board, now sitting behind the PL and Gyro. What do you think PL goes for next as his first big item, though? Yasha, Vlad's, Diffusal?
Yeah, those would be the three big options.
As his actual next item, but
I think it's a Diffusal. Yeah, he's just bought a Blade of Alacrity, so it's a Yasha or Diffusal. I think he skips Vlad's this game because of how the game's going, and also because someone else could Undying. yeah, Undying's going Bassi, so he's probably going for Vlad's. PL doesn't want to sit around farming all game. They're enjoying some momentum, and if someone else can buy you Vlad's, why the hell should you buy it yourself?
Yeah.
So it'll probably be the diff, maybe the Yasha first, and we're in this. I mean, last game, later on in the game, I was saying, oh, Darkseer, he's got to do a lot, but
Top
hang
lane.
on.
Rio takes a rocket barrage to the face. The
Dire's
TP out.
bottom tower is under
Who
attack.
TP'd there? Was that Maiden? Someone TP'd out and got the hell out of that region. But yeah, I think that the Phantom Lance, so often we see Quelling Blade and Vlad's, or Quelling Blade and Yasha, just to keep your farm going. I'm not sure if he goes for Quelling Blade here. I don't know if he needs to continually farm. It's good for pushing out lanes, obviously, as well, the Quelling Blade. But I don't know if he necessarily needs it.
Yeah, I was trying to say before that fight break, I think it's on Chrissy this game. At least for the next sort of 10 or 15 minutes. Chrissy's the one with all the gold in his team. He's the one who's had a good start. He's got a
Dire's
hero that can
bottom
make a very big
tower is
impact
under
at this stage in the
attack.
game. And we're going to have to see Chrissy making that impact. What does he buy first? I mean, he's heading towards enough gold for
Radiant's
maybe a
top
4-star,
tower is under attack.
possibly a mech. It's,
Dire's structures
That's
are
the thing. Is
fortified.
a Blink or Force enough?
Radiant
If you get that
structures are
initiation tool,
fortified.
is it enough to allow your team to catch up and do the damage? When they've got Soul Rip
Dire's
and
middle
heals
tower
and
has
dodges
fallen.
and all sorts of stuff to throw at you in a team fight? Or do you go for the DPS build and think, 10 minutes into the future? Go for a Maelstrom, go into Aghanim Scepter, and then maybe think about, hey look, Puck is nearly at Blink. I'll go for Blink of my own. Because you need that wave of reinforcements to hit at the same time. If you have one by one by one, Crystal Maiden and Gyrocopter and here's a Phantom Lancer, they're going to take you down.
yeah, he might just rush the Aghanims. I think he actually might be heading to that point booster right now. You've got that Drow Aura. Yeah, he's got the point booster. I mean, you've got all the damage in the world, so just being able to ulti a lot is going to be very good. And it looks like Rave are going to contest this push.
That was the easiest kill of Phantom Lancer's life. But yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Chrissy with the level 4 power shot, Jo with 3 Wraith Bands and Brown Boots. He's got level 1 in Gust, he's got 3 over in that Aura, he's got 1 in his ulti. It looks like Rio is wanting to farm his Blink Dagger up at top lane, but TNC want to keep mounting the pressure. They're wrapping around onto this tier 1 at bot, or are they going in for the... Oh, that's a nice sentry ward.
Oh,
Preemptive
Chrissy.
sentry there, Chrissy walks into trouble. There's only 2 supports here for now, but AU, shackled, power shot, the heal, the Soul Rip 7 doesn't keep his teammate alive. And the damage is outcoming. Chrissy, oh man, AU, okay, finally gets taken down by the Frost Arrow. Chrissy though, Teehee chasing him down. Jo caught in the cooldown. No, he backs himself up, but there is another lance coming out of Teehee in a second. As
Dire's
TNC
bottom tower is under attack.
running through, diving behind tier 1 and tier 2. And look at how afraid Rave are right now.
Yeah, I mean, the Crystal Maiden Undying, the 2 supports were actually in no man's land. Their teammates were far away. I thought maybe that the Crystal Maiden would die fast, but survives just long enough for Teehee to get there. And a lot of the times we've watched TNC, there seems to be a trend that the supports just kind of bait the
Dire's
enemy,
bottom tower
and
is under
as long as they
attack.
survive long enough for the cores to get there,
Dire's
now the enemy
structures
teams
are
use their spells on the
fortified.
supports. Sure, maybe a support dies or something, but Teehee arrives and just cleans up
I
very,
really like-
very swiftly.
I really like the placement of the Tombstone though from the Undying. Like, a lesser player would have put it on
Dire's
top of the
bottom
Wind Ranger, or
tower
just,
has
off the
fallen.
Wind Ranger. He made sure that he put the Tombstone between the Wind Ranger and where any possible reinforcements could come from. You sort of think, okay, reinforcements are going to come from this direction, from the tier 2.
Yeah.
So he puts his Tombstone right in between. There was no way they could go and save the Wind Ranger without suffering serious casualties themselves.
Is Jo in trouble? Does he die solo to Sam? I don't know if he does. Yeah, I
Doesn't
don't think so.
look like it. Now, Nyx is gusted. He's got no real escape mechanism, but one hero. The Undying starts walking up high ground. Jo has no HP left. Cast says, hang on, I've got no stun or hex or anything. If the line was here, maybe we go for this kill. Phantom Lancer has a full diffuser blade 14 minutes into this game.
Yeah, look, I can imagine ways for Rave to get back into this game. I can imagine them taking a fight. My concern is that the way for them to ultimately win the game seems to involve them snowballing. And they're very quickly, the game's getting past the stage where that can happen. So, sure, Rave win a fight here or there. I don't see how they establish a snowball, how they make that into like objectives and
It's got to come down.
one objective here or there, but
It's got to come down to Puck's Blink Dagger. Like that's got to be what they're waiting for. They haven't really pushed past the river. They haven't looked for tier 1 sort of pressure or anything like that. Now Puck has Blink. Maybe they can either A, look to defend a tier 2 with it, so that they win a team fight at their own tier 2 and then push into tier 1, or they go Rambo style. They say, hey, let's smoke up, let's go into the enemy jungle, let's find someone who's farming, whether it be a support, whether it be Gyro or the Undying. Whoever they can find, it's money in their pockets. They need something right now.
Dire's top tower
Yeah,
is
it's-
under attack.
He's got it now, right? Does
Yeah,
he?
Puck has
Yeah, he's got it. Okay, so yeah, similar to last game. Next couple of fights probably going to be quite decisive if Puck can have a big impact with that blink dagger or not. But at the same time, like I said last game, if
Dire's
it's
top
TNC
tower
who come
is
out
under
ahead
attack.
despite Puck's blink, that's very, very worrying.
It's disconcerting, definitely. Rio does pick up a smoke, so I think they're going to go with option B. Smoke up, move away from their tier 2 towers, but does the fight come before
Yeah.
that happens? Because
Radiant's
in
bottom
comes Sam,
tower is
finds the
under
Earth Spike onto Ninja Boogie, and now Rio, he's been scouted out. They know he has blink, they know he's got smoke. They can
Jay's
be...
dead.
Oh man, you're right.
There was an inverse rune on the gyrocopter. He walked straight up to him and just solo killed him.
Gather round. Silence.
Dire's
The Puck
top
blinks
tower
in,
is
Dream
under
Call onto
attack.
2. Here's the fight amid, 3 versus 3, but Zombie, man, what a powerhouse. Getting through with the Decay, the Soul Rip, now Shackle. Lantern 7 in place, the Focus Fire. Chipping away, tickling that Undying Zombie as over on the side, Visage does die. The Phantom Lancer with his Diffuser Blade, his Illusions, his Doppelganger, and now another Lance. Chrissy losing HP, losing mana. GG is called. Rave just tap out in game number 2. That's it, TNC win this best of 3 in what is, a combined 42 minutes
Radiant
across 2 games.
It's a convincing slaughter, to be honest. And again, like they said to Malaysia, nice game, Idol. TNC showing respect for the established top teams. They haven't exactly gotten one whole lot of lands or anything, but they have just won 2 Corsair arenas in a row, pretty damn convincingly. And anyone who's not afraid of this team or not expecting this team to do well in the TI qualifiers has got another thing coming, I've got to say.
Wow. Wow. I didn't think that would be the outcome of this best of 3. I thought, maybe 2-1 to Rave, 2-1 to TNC, something like that. But a comprehensive dismantling here. TNC showing that they definitely are worthy of that TI5 SEA qualifier spot. So that's it for us tonight, guys. I'm Durka. Join me, Scant. $1,500 goes to TNC, 500 to Rave, as we have just crowned the winner of this Corsair Gaming Arena, TNC. Second one in a row, like Scant said. Scant, thanks for joining me, man. It's been a pleasure as always.
Yeah, it's been great, and good luck with I think you're going off to TI qualifiers soon,
Yep.
right?
Going to Bucharest tomorrow. Gonna be good. So now I can start rubbing it in people's faces. Like, hey, look, I've been calling TNC for the past 2 months. What do you think about this? But it's obviously still a long road for them to go. There's a lot of games to play. Southeast Asia is they've got the group of death. There are some pretty damn rough groups over in the SEA qualifiers, but we'll see how they do. Rave. Yeah, they put up a good show here. They got through to the grand finals. TNC outclassed them a little bit. But again, they're still a very strong team that has a good shot at the SEA qualifiers themselves. But that's it for us tonight, guys. You can check us out on Twitter, @DurkaDota, @Scansor, Facebook the same. And check out joindota.com. Hopefully you'll find some information about TI5 qualifiers over there. Our coverage page is up. Just have to go to coverage. And the International 2015, where we'll have all of the schedule, the games, the streams, everything. Everything should be good. But that's it. Good night, guys. Hopefully you have a good evening. Catch you on Monday, where we'll be starting TI5 qualifiers. Good night.